Joining me today is someone who is no stranger to your television, your big screen, everything else. He's getting ready to do some major moves. Howard Gaskins, you may know him as Howard G.
All right. Thanks for having me, LaDonna. This is Career Pathways.
So what we're going to be doing is basically we're going to talk about some of your history, and we're going to talk about how you got to be the man, Howard G. Okay. So
I would say that. I'm a little humble, but okay.
Okay, and I'm glad you said that because you kind of brought me into my first conversation piece, which is the fact that you're from Baltimore. You're from Baltimore, Maryland.
Right.
And tell me about how did you get your start, or even know that you had a desire to be into, the public eye and all that kind of stuff? What made you decide to say, I want to be a performer, I want to be an actor? How did you even start?
Well, it all started in middle school, junior high school. My sister, I was in 7th grade, I'll never forget it. No, I actually was in 6th grade, about to go to 7th grade, go to Gaskins Junior High School. And my sister used to go to Garrison Middle School, and Garrison Middle School had the greatest musical drama program up there. They had a teacher by the name of Mr. Harrison. He was a music teacher, and he used to do stage plays. And my sister was a dancer in his play, and I'll never forget it. They did a play called The Pied Piper. And I was fortunate to go and see the play. My mom and myself and my sister, we all went to see my sister. She was just a dancer in the play. But the play was so amazing. What they did, they took the storyline for the Pied Piper, rewrote it, and put their own songs in it, their own storyline. It was pretty much the same storyline of the Pied Piper, but they added their own soulful music and things like that. And I saw that night. When I came out of that play, and I'll never forget it, the guy who played the lead role, who played the Pied Piper, his name was Nathaniel. And he and I, we're still friends to this day on Facebook. And I told him when I saw that play, and I saw him perform that play, it changed my whole life. I said I knew I was destined, and I wanted to be in the entertainment field because he was so good. He could sing, dance, act. He did everything. This guy was like, he kind of reminded you of the guy from the one that's in trouble with or on Fox show with Cookie and what's his name? Cookie and
Terrence Howard. On
yeah,
Empire?
but not Terrence Howard, but the one that faked the storyline.
Oh, Jesse. Jesse, what's his name?
Jesse Smollett. Yeah, he back then he looked and acted just like Jesse Smollett. I mean, the boy can act, sing, and everything. And when I saw that play, I was just blown away. I was like, wow! I mean, the dancing, the singing, and everything. And so it all started back then when I saw that. And then when I went in the Garrison, I started getting into theater, acting, and things of nature. I started rapping. I used to rap. I had a group. It was called Howard G and the Foxy Five. It was me and 5 girls. We rapped. We actually, performed. Put a performance too, and put a couple of, performances, local talent shows and stuff like that. Then I started DJing, and when I started DJing, I was DJing when I was in the 7th grade. So I'm DJing house parties and events on Sunday night till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I had to go to school Monday morning.
In 7th grade?
In 7th grade, yes. And I was a young DJ, and my father used to.
I wasn't even allowed on the front yard in 7th grade. You DJing parties because.
Right. And I remember doing stuff for Odell Brock, the guy that owned Odell's. I used to do stuff for his private parties and stuff like that. And I'm coming to the house 1, 2:30 in the morning, and gotta get up in 3, 4 hours, go to school the next day. And so I was a DJ then. And so once I started DJing, and then I went in high school. And in high school, I was in stage plays and things of that nature. Then after high school, went straight in the military. Once I got out of the military, I met a guy named Ricky Shackelford. He's like my mentor. And I started out videotaping. I had to be his videographer. And so I used to videotape his shows. And then I would DJ downstairs and then go upstairs, and I tried my hand at stand-up comedy upstairs. And the first night I did it, I didn't bomb. I did really well. So After that, you know, started doing shows there every Saturday night, and that Gaskins helped me train and get ready because we had to do shows there every Saturday. So I had to write and create new material every weekend because they had the same crowd come there every night. So we had to come with new jokes every time. So once I did that, work on my craft. I was there for about maybe a year, and then a year later, that's when I met Monique. Monique came, and then she started coming down there with us, helping us out, and then she started working her craft, started getting better in comedy and getting stronger and stronger. And I'll never forget when Monique left, and she said, "Howard, I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to go to Atlanta. As I go to Atlanta, I'm going to LA. Do you want to come?" And she asked me to go with her. And I said, "Nah, Monique, I can't." Because I had kids.
See?
I had a 6-year-old, I had a 7-year-old, a girl and a boy. I couldn't lead them at that young age. I said, I can't. I want to go so bad. And she told me, "How you don't know what you're missing." And she knew I was talented, but she said, "I'm telling you, you need to come and go with me, and your whole life would change." I said, "Moni, I swear, I wish I could. I wish I could." And I didn't go. I didn't go with her because I had to stay and raise my kids. I didn't want to be one of those fathers, long distance fathers, and see his child only on Christmas and stuff like that. So I didn't go with her. And had I went, you never know where I might have been. Um, so rest was, history. Then, BET came, and I was on BET 4 seasons, then Def Comedy Jams, Showtime the Apollo. Actually, Showtime Apollo was first. Then I did BET, then Def Comedy Jams. And then years later, I say about maybe 7 years later, I got the Kiss My Bumper commercial. And once I did the Kiss My Bumper car insurance commercial, that really changed my whole career as far as television. Because once that commercial came, I was shown in Delaware, Maryland, DC, Virginia, and 4 or 5 states, and even some parts of North Carolina. Because the insurance company started, they had one location. And then once the commercial came out, they ended up opening up 26 locations. So they really, grew for that commercial. And who would have thought, that little slogan I came up with, because that's how I went to the audition and I created that slogan at the audition.
Okay.
And that's the first time I auditioned for a commercial. And they said, "That's it. You're the person we're looking for. That's what we're looking for." I got the part. And years later, I've been doing a commercial for 22 years, matter of fact.
So it's safe to say that in Baltimore City, you're the original party kingpin, huh? So
yeah, something like that. And then later on, I worked at Rex and Parks, and then I started writing stage plays. And then the stage plays came later. My first play was As Cherry Hill Turns, and I got that when I was working with 92Q. I used to be on a big fat morning show with 92Q with Mark Clark and Marva and all those guys. I was like a quote unquote producer, helping them guys out.
It's funny because I know you as the Kiss My Bumper guy. And maybe I'm dating myself saying that, but I wasn't old enough I wasn't permitted to watch BET, more or less do some house parties in 7th grade. But when I met you, you kind of inspired and motivated me too. I'm not an actress or actor, however you want to categorize it, but I saw you as someone who is from a small city. And when I ran into you again, you were at the store or the gas station. So it was like you were so tangible, within reach. Here I am seeing you, through thousands of light years on TV, and now you're like within reach. And I'm like, I know you from somewhere, and it's just you going through and developing your craft. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about because you made it sound sweet. You made it sound like this was easy breezy, right? And so I want to talk about some of the challenges that you had to overcome to even get to from, DJing in the, in your basement to the parties to Kiss My Bumper and beyond, because we're going to get into some of the other projects that you've done too. We'll even mention Grandma G, and we'll talk about correlations about that too. But let's talk about some of the challenges that you had to even endure or go through to even get to this point of comfortness that you're at now.
Well, being even in comedy is a challenge because the fact that comedy is a quote unquote a white male. Uh, uh, they dominate the comedy clubs, at least your mainstream comedy clubs, and your zanies, your comedy zones, your funny bones, things like that. They mostly white males, predominantly are booked and in those clubs. So I had to be a what you call a crossover comedian. I had to become mainstream, meaning that I had to make not just my people laugh, I had to make white people laugh.
Right.
So I specialize in that because, um, growing up, um, I grew up in somewhat um, middle class family. We wasn't poor. We wasn't in the projects. My father worked at Bethlehem Steel. My mother had Social Security, so we was pretty much doing pretty good for black folks. Father drove Cadillacs, and he had a ton of Cadillac cars. My father at one point owned 4 cars at one time, like 4 cars on the street. He can choose what car he wanted to drive, and my mother had her own car. And I never forget, I went to, my father had a nice Cadillac Seville, it was a burgundy Seville with a slat in the back. And all the girls, I was tall for my age. I was always tall for my age. So I'm in the 9th grade, and all these older girls would ask me to take them to their prom. So you got 10th, 11th grade, 12th graders asking me to go to their prom because my father owned a Cadillac, and I did have my license. I got my license at 15 and 9 months. As soon as you able to get licensed, I was driving. And so I went to 9 proms, 9.
Wow.
And right. And so, so like back to your question, challenging is when you start to get in your craft of comedy clubs. It wasn't too many black comedy clubs out there. So black people had to invent and create their own stuff. We had to go to a nightclub like Gaskins, like a Volcanoes, like a 32nd Street Plaza, and we would say, hey, is it possible we could do comedy at your club on a Friday night early before your regular crowd come, on a Wednesday night early, before your regular crowd come, and we would work stuff out with the club owners and stuff and do comedy, and pretty much that was our comedy club, working out with these nightclubs doing comedy, and it grew and it got bigger and bigger. I remember when even Joe Clear, who's on WPGC morning show, he started out with us in Baltimore. He came to 32nd Street Plaza. And I remember he had a bad night, his first time out at 32nd Street Plaza. And, so the challenges we had is that it wasn't enough for black comedians to work out and do shows for, because the white comedy club wasn't booking us. For one, they thought we was too black. 2, white comedians had a problem with us being funnier than them. They used to hate that. They would hate when, I know one time I did a show in Ohio, and I was featuring, it was a white guy headlining. So I would go up first. You had an MC, he'll do 15 minutes, and then I'll come and do a half hour. I'm killing the crowd. I'm destroying it. This is Friday night. We did 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. So both shows, I'm destroying it. And the headliner couldn't follow me. This is a true story. I'll never forget it. So back then, I used to record my shows on a little recorder. I would take my recorder with me and record my shows. And mind you, I wasn't too vulgar. So the next day, I get a call from the agency that booked me. And he said, Howard, I hate to say this, but we got to send you home. I said, send me home for what? He said, the headliner said that you're cursing too much in front of him. And he said he can't perform his act behind you because you're too vulgar.
What?
I said, you know my act. I'm not vulgar. He said, I'm sorry, but we got to send you home. I said, wait a minute. I just remembered. I recorded my show last night. I'll let you hear it. So the guy actually listened to my show for a good 25 minutes. I don't think the only curse word he probably heard me say was damn. And he said, all right, Howard, I'm going to call you back. So he called the white guy up. He said, hey, I don't know what he said to him. 15 minutes later, I get a call back from the agency. okay, Howard, everything's good. You'll work tomorrow night, and then we'll pay you on Sunday. I said, so what was the problem? What was up with that? He said, I don't know. I said, and then he said, before I hung up, he said, hey, Howard, is there any way you could tone your act down? Tone it down? I
What?
said, do you mean not be as funny? Is that what you want me to do? So this white guy can follow me, who y'all supposedly have as a headliner? That's what you want? He said, hey, you can read between the lines, Howard, pretty much. So basically, that's what they want. They wanted me not to be as funny because this guy couldn't follow me. And that's when black comedy, that's when Def Jam stuff was really starting to get out there and hot. And white people used to watch Def Jam. They wouldn't want you to know they watched it. They knew who Chris Tucker was. They knew who Bernie Mac was. They knew, and they always thought these guys was funny. So when they see black guys, they always automatically assume that we were going to be really funny anyway. So I had to tone my act down and I do my little knock jokes and stuff. So this guy will get mad, upset. But, it's crazy. But had I not recorded my show, they would have sent me home based on what that guy said.
That would have been it. And I was sitting there listening to you. One thing that you said is you mentioned the two letters, IT. When I recently spoke with Ro Brooks, and he was saying about getting into acting, into entertainment, they said that you have to have the it. The industry says you have to have it. So knowing that, you've done comedy, you've done, television, you've done commercials, what in acting, what is the it that Howard G has? What makes you stand out and people say, I gotta have him, I want to work with him? Other than, you come up with the slogan, kiss my bumper, and I'm not discounting it, but I'm just saying, what is it, the it that will make me say, I need to book him for this, that, and the other?
Well, I have a creative mind, so I'm very creative. I can write and produce, and I can turn people's shows into movies, sitcoms. People hire me to turn their books into stage plays. I've done quite a few of those. I'm really creative, so that it factor is that I'm a very creative writer. I think me and you was talking at one point where you wanted to turn your book into a stage play at one point, and I know how that never got off the ground, but I remember we was talking briefly about it. But
I was trying to skip over that because I knew that was going to come out. When you said it, I was like, I know I'm going to catch it. Go ahead. I'm still looking at it. I know
my writing skills is very, very good and unique. And that's one thing, that's like my it factor. So whether people find me funny or not, I'm very creative. So I have that it factor when it comes to that. So that would be my it factor, how creative I am and the talent I have to write and produce.
So you have more diverse. Oh, go ahead.
No, because recently, like we did right before COVID-19 hit, we just did Sanford and Son, the stage play, and that was a huge success. We did it March 7th and 8th at Woodlawn High School, and had 2 big shows with that, and people loved it. And so basically, what I did was took the same characters back in the day from Sanford and Son, and brought them up to date with 2020, where if so Fred was stuck in a coma, and when he woke up, it's 2020. And so imagine, the stuff that he would be going through now had he, was still around today. So that's what made it real funny, with the same old characters, your Esther, your Esther, your Lamont, all your same old characters, still Grady, still in the same production.
So hold on, how come I didn't get a call? I could have played Aunt Esther, you fool. So
yeah, you could have. We did auditions. I had auditions on Facebook quite a few times.
Wait a minute. We'll talk about that later. But to answer your question about the book situation, life happened. But I'm back to the predicament now. I'm at a point that I actually did draft the stage play, but I'm ready to go to that next level. So forget about me right now. We'll talk about you, but I'll get that to you so you can see it. I think you'll be proud because I'm a musician. So I went ahead, I did the score, I did all that stuff. So honestly, I took our conversation and I kind of like worked on it just because I had time, but I'm going to leave it to the experts to do what they do. I'm just a little girl from PG County, trying. But we were talking, say again?
No, I'm listening, go ahead.
Okay. So other than, okay, let's take a pause for a second. So with everything that's happening in the world right now, right? With the racial, the COVID, I often heard the terms that laughter is the best medicine for the soul. I'm not sure who said it, but I've heard that before.
That's in the Bible. Yes, that's the true story.
It's in the Bible. Where is it in the Bible?
I gotta pull it up, but it is the laughter is good for the soul. It's definitely in the
Okay.
Bible. I know Ecclesiastes 4:3, it says there's a time to weep, there's a time to laugh. So I know that's in the Bible too.
There's a time for everything. Everything has a season. See? So I'm with you on that one. So, okay. So with that being said, right, I want to talk about just the fact that, during this time, like as being, let's take the comedic side for a second. How do you think that comedy would get people through some situations? Let me explain what I mean. So people are seeing people pass away. People are seeing people, protest. They're seeing all that good stuff. How can you find the laughter or the inner connection for those type of things? Like, how can I laugh when I'm seeing things happen?
Well, right now, people are looking for laughter because you got to think with all this police brutality, this injustice going on with your, George Floyd incident, your unemployment rate, COVID-19, we in a pandemic. People are looking for something else to take their minds off of that for a while. So right now, laughter is really big. That's why your Netflix, your Hulu, Amazon, all these places are doing really well right now. And even me, I've been doing a lot of shows online, with Zoom, comedy shows and stuff like that, because people need an outlet. It's like for the last 3-4 months, it's been rough. So yeah, they're looking for it.
It's funny that
so this is perfect time.
I actually suggested to another one of my comedian friends, I said, oh, let's do an online comedy show. Let's do something. Before I saw like a lot of them popping up, because I saw like the DJs doing it, right? They gonna tell me it wasn't a good idea, and then they turn around and do it. And I was like, oh, that's how we're going. So I know that you have, like I said, you have a lot of things that you put your hands onto, gotten your hands dirty, and a lot of events and what have you. What do you have coming up?
Well, once again, I have some online shows coming up, private shows that I got booked for. Then, too, as things are starting to open up, because I noticed they're starting to open up here in Baltimore County, and different counties in Maryland are opening up, where the restaurants are opening up, the comedy clubs are opening up, and they're doing half capacity. So we're hoping to do a show, hopefully in August, with half capacity. Because I'm getting calls and emails and texts like, man, when the next show, when y'all gonna do something, blah, blah, blah. But people are ready, and we're just gonna do it, of course. We're gonna take precautions and stuff, have people, the tables separated, tell people to come with masks on and things that they should just come out and laugh, have a good time, and definitely need it. It's really needed right about now.
Okay. So I want to talk a second about this particular character that you have. A lot of times people discuss about men dressing up as women, and they say about being the costume. I know Mr. Perry, he catches a lot of flack about, his character. And so you came up with a character by the name of Grandma G.
Right.
Tell me about Grandma G and how comfortable you are. Tell me about Grandma G.
Grandma G started with me going to church, because I've been in church. I started church early when I was like 2019, and where people were going to clubs and stuff, I was going to church every Sunday, even though I'd be in the clubs and stuff that night before. I mean, God knew my heart.
Me too.
So I would go to church on Sunday, and I remember sitting behind these two old ladies, and I'm quite sure they probably passed by now, Lord rest their souls. But I'll never forget sitting behind them, and I kid you not, I used to make my business to sit behind them, because I would hear their conversations. Whether it started out where I was in front of them, and I used to get a lot of material in front of them, so they was behind me. And so I hear them talk. They would talk about the pastor. They talk about what people had on. They talk about choir members. Like, oh, she can't sing. Look at her. She sounds the best. I don't know how she got on the choir. I mean, they would talk about the organ. Look at that organ player. That boy, little sister. You know, your sister. Look at her. I mean, they would talk about everybody in that church except each other. And they was, I think it was two sisters. I never forget it. And so I would be sitting up there having tears in my eyes, laughing so hard at them, crying. And so I came with that character because I remember hearing them and watching them, you know, talk about the people behind their backs, and then when they see the people like the pastor, they talk about the pastor, say, you know, and then when it's time to go meet him and shake his hand at the end of the day, hey, pastor, that was a good word. Oh, no, thank you, pastor. You know, they changed their tune. Really, they didn't like the word, and they'll say, oh, pastor preaching about his he must have went and had a couple of drinks last night. Look at he all over the Bible. He don't even know which section where he preaching at. He preaching different sections. He don't even know. He not even staying on the word. He jumping all over the place, and it is just crazy. So that's where I created that character, Grandma G, because of watching these two ladies. So I came up with the character, and then my church wanted to do a comedy show at the church, and they wanted to call it Clean Comedy. So I thought, say, what would be more funny than me to do Grandma G and create this lady character? Yeah, I started a Grandma G back when I started Kiss My Bumper. That's how long I've been doing it.
Let me tell you, even when you were sitting here talking about the women in churches, I almost had to mute my phone because I'm sitting here crying, laughing, because I think we all have those church folks that do it. And like, that's how I even started doing silly stuff, because I used to copy the women shouting. And we used to have this one lady who had a jerry curl, and she would shout and her hat would fly off, and she would just, the juice and stuff would just be flying all over the place. You know what I mean? So I used to like to go to church to sit there, like you were saying, and see what was going to happen today. You know what I mean? And so even when you were talking about them, I was like, man, I didn't heard them conversations. So it just, I'm trying to like keep a straight face while you were talking. Like, I got to be quiet. I can't bust out laughing, but I totally understand about that too with Grandma G and everything. So, but have you ever gotten any backlash about, you know, dressing up as a woman and, you know?
Yeah, because I would have, I mean, they wouldn't tell me directly. Some churches wouldn't book me because I'm doing the old lady character. So they would, you know, they wouldn't hire me because of that. And so, which I told them I understand, because it is a verse in the Bible that says about men dressing up as women or putting on women garments and things of that nature, and vice versa, women being men and stuff like that. So there's a verse in the Bible about that. But I let them know up front, I'm doing a character. It's just a character. Lately, what I've been doing too, it shows I've been taking, whenever I see young men in the audience, young boys, 15 under, at the end of my show, I would take all my stuff off while I'm on stage and let them know, hey, this is just a character. I'm performing as this old lady. I'm a saved, straight, married man of God. Don't take it personal. Blah 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 blah. And the people appreciate that even more after my shows. After I do that.
But you know what? If you're going to take one verse of the Bible and hold it as law, then take every verse of the 66 books. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And nobody's perfect.
You can't pick and choose. So I just had a conversation with somebody about that the other day. You can't pick and choose which part of the Bible that you're going to follow. If you're going to follow it, follow it. You know what I mean?
Right. He will not sin, cast the first stone. Exactly. So
you took the words out of my mouth. I'm like, if you're in a glass house, then this is not for you. So let me ask you this. Before I let you go, what would you say to someone who has a dream or aspiration of either being an actor, a comedian, a commercial star, a DJ that has done anything that you've done in your career path, and just wants to know, like, what do I do? How do I start? I don't even know. I don't even know what I want to do.
Well, now they can read up on it. There's so much stuff on YouTube. There's so much stuff online that they can learn and read. Develop their skills. First, know exactly what they want to do. Be confident in yourself. Study it, practice it, groom yourself, write your own material. Do not look at these TV shows or these comedians online and write joke for joke and take their jokes. Create your own window, your own stage, and just pursue it and be persistent. You're going to get leery for stuff not happening fast. See, a lot of people nowadays think stuff is going to happen fast and instant and quick, especially since you got Instagram and Facebook and all these social medias out there. People think stuff's going to happen, excuse me, just like that. And it's not. It's going to take some time. Some people it does. Some people it does take place in a year or two, or it takes place fast. With some people it don't.
You know, when I spoke to Ro Brooks the other day, another gentleman from Baltimore City who's making big
Yeah,
moves.
I know Ro. I know Ro, the actor. Yeah.
Everybody in Baltimore knows each other, but no, he was talking and he said the average time that you have to expect is about 10 years. If you don't have 10 years to invest in, you know, going from start until at least a progressive state, then, you know, you might not really want to get into the entertainment industry just because of the way things are. And so me, like I was telling Ro, I said, you know, in Baltimore, or being from Prince George's County, when I think of Baltimore, I think of crabs and the Baltimore Harbor and all these other things, but you never think of the hidden jewels and the hidden gems and the talent that actually gets the opportunity. Because like we also said, many people don't go across the viaducts. So, you know, they've never been east to west Baltimore. So to actually have people that are still tangible and humble, yet still be successful, it's commendable. Just, it does another thing for Charm City. So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you. Oh, and one more thing too, I want to add to that. Tell them don't put all your eggs in one basket. Explore, do other things. If you're a writer, try writing. If you're an actor, do acting. When you're multi-talented, that helps out a lot. Trust me, it helps out tremendously. It's like your athletes. All your athletes. LeBron is not just a basketball player. LeBron played football. He ran track. They said he did hurdles. You know, you expand on everything. You don't want to just put all your eggs in one basket.
All right. So since you did write the phrase, can I please just have you say it one time? Just one time.
Kiss my bubble. Just kiss it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Howard G. Gaskins. I'm glad we got a chance to finally converse. I know there's some things that were happening all over the place. So thank you for taking time away from your vacation to come and join us today. And we'll definitely be in contact. We got a lot more things to do. Keep sending me the promotions about the events. I do publicize them and re-promote them just because you don't see
hit me up on Facebook, Howard G. Gaskins. You'll see a picture of me and Kevin Hart. On Instagram, it's at comedian Howard G on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. And if you're going to reach out to me, I am for hire for comedy shows. If you want any books or any your things written and produced into a stage play, trust me, I am man. I'm your man.
So if they reach out to you on those social medias, it's gonna be you, not an assistant, right? Because people like to talk.
No, just me.
Right.
I ain't at that point right now.
They don't have to go through 5 million people. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions about any of the career paths that we discussed today, comedian Howard G. Gaskins, actor, comedian Howard G. Gaskins, etc. Howard G. Gaskins is available. He said he's willing to talk to you, and you will talk to him. He won't tell you to kiss his bumper. Thank you very much, Howard.
All right.
All right, babe. Thank you.